And now we have an opportunity to speak with Rohit Kapoor, the founder, co-founder, and CEO and chairman of EXL Service, ticker symbol EXLS on the NASDAQ. It's about a $7.5 billion market cap with excellent underlying financials, moving forward into the use of artificial intelligence and data analytics in ways that help companies across multiple industries make better decisions based upon the data and information they have and that they can gather with which to help their customers. So Rohit, could you do us a favor and give us just a brief overview of your business? And we have Nicole and Carl here helping us in the interview as well.
Sure, Tom. So EXL is a global data and AI company today. And what we predominantly do is we run operations for our clients, which have got a lot of intelligence infused in them. And then we also help them manage their data, build predictive analytical models, and help them implement AI into the workflow. And the rough breakup of these two businesses is about in equal parts. The data analytics and AI piece is a little bit more, maybe about 53%. And that's the broad breakup of the business. We work with clients in the insurance industry, in banking and financial services, in healthcare. And typically our clients are the large enterprise clients, typically the global 1,000 companies spread across the world. But a large part of our business is in the US. We get about 85% of our business or so from the US, about 12% from UK and Europe, and the small remaining piece from Australia and New Zealand.
We have so many exciting technical things to discuss with you, and that's why we have Carl and Nicole with us, bringing AI expertise and data analytics expertise in this conversation. But I want to ask you one more general question about EXL, and that is, could you give us a little bit of the history of the business? I think you were incorporated in 1999. I think there was a period at which there was like a change in ownership. You've just become, in addition to being CEO, chairman and CEO of the business in the last year, I believe. So maybe just a little bit of the journey that you've been on over this last quarter century.
Sure. So I'm also one of the co-founders of the business. So I remember that very vividly, having set up the company in 1999. 99, as you would remember, is the height of the dot-com era. And so there were a lot of these dot-com companies that were being spawned. And we decided to set up EXL. And our game plan was that we would do email processing for all these dot-com companies like Yahoo and Amazon and Google that were being set up at that point of time. The premise was very simple. It used to cost about $3 to process an email in the US. We figured we could do this for $1 in India. We'd offer it to the customer at $2 an email. They'd save a lot of money. We'd make a ton of money, and hopefully we would be at the beach very, very quickly. But that plan fell apart because in 2000, the dot-com crash took place. And we saw pricing on processing emails drop down to a few cents per email because it was a highly commoditized service offering. Anybody with a laptop anywhere in the world could offer that. And therefore, we had to run from there, and we started to kind of get into domain-specific operations and started to build up our business out there. Very early on, we got acquired by Conseco, which was an insurance company in the Midwest. So they acquired us in 2001. But as soon as they acquired us, they also reported some of the financial difficulties that they were facing. And it became pretty clear that they were going to file for bankruptcy in a relatively short period of time. So we had to kind of think about extricating ourselves out from that situation. We bought ourselves out in 2002 and became an independent company again. And since that time, didn't really look back in terms of building the business and growing the business and continuing to pivot the business and get more involved in data analytics, in digital, and in AI.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I think we'll go to Nicole now for a question or two, and then Carl.
Sure. I guess what I am curious about is how do you reevaluate your AI possibilities, assess those possibilities? How do you choose those right use cases that deliver real business value? because I know AI is such a hot topic right now. And so I'd love to hear your take on this.
Sure, Nicole. So, as AI, the good part of it is it's exploding and it's being, used everywhere and by everyone. The sad part about it is that the success rate of really implementing AI into the workflow is still very low. And there's some publications which would say that there's a 70% failure rate associated with embedding in AI into the workflow. And a large part of this happens to be the choice of the use case, the availability of good data so that you can actually use AI and get the insight, and then from the insight, be able to get to the outcome, and the ability to deploy this in a manner which is cost effective. So, we've been fortunate that we've been invested in building up our data analytics business way back in 2005. So it's almost 20 years that we've been in this business, helping our clients around data analytics. And then about 7 or 8 years ago, we started to invest heavily in a data management practice because we wanted to swim upstream and help them manage and store their data in a more effective way, and started to build up that expertise. So today, when we implement and execute AI for our clients, there are three things that work for us that allow us to get to a much higher level of success. Number one, we understand the domain and our client's operating business model, and therefore we can pick and choose the right kind of use cases that will work for them. Number two, we have a mastery over helping our clients store, manage, and access the data. And that's critically important in terms of being able to leverage AI. And then finally, we understand how to implement AI. And as you know, AI needs to be implemented in, and you need to fine tune the models, you need to tweak, and you need to do this in an iterative way till you can get to an outcome which is going to be acceptable. Because the worst thing you can do is to implement AI and then not have any user adoption. And for us, getting to a high level of user adoption and getting to that business outcome is a really, really critical goal that we are trying to achieve. So, having the knowledge on the business model, understanding data, and knowing how to embed AI into the workflow, that's what I think gives us the edge. And that's what we're trying to do by bringing this together.
I want to bring it back to data management. I used to work in PepsiCo, so I think that's probably a representative customer for you guys. I don't know if they are a customer, but I was doing data management there, supporting AI data science teams on several models. And so we were building up the data sets. And I think it's probably the number one issue from my perspective, my short career so far, is that there's not the best practices implemented for data management, data modeling, single source of truth. There's data silos everywhere in the organization, which for the audience, it's like data at different teams at different levels, and people can't access the right data at different places. And so when you're trying to leverage it, building models, it needs to be able to access everything or lots of things. So I wonder, for your clients, I assume that a lot of the times people come and they say, we want this model, or we want to do this very ambitious plan. And then you say, oh, okay, well, we're looking at your architecture. We're going to have to do a lot of work. We're going to have to go all the way to the bottom, to the foundation, and start there. So I wonder, like, is that the case? And what are kind of the strategies you use to unsilo or desilo companies?
So, Carl, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly how we see it. So, when you think about implementing AI into the workflow, in a very simplistic way, we would break it up into three parts. Part one is really getting the data estate in order and having the data available to be used by the AI. The second piece is all about the foundational models, the fine-tuned models, or the agentic work that sits, in between. And the third piece is about how do you put AI into the workflow so that it's something that can be used seamlessly by a human, and they can use the intelligence that's being provided by the AI, or they can use their own intelligence to supplement that. And really, the work involved in implementing AI into the workflow is at the bookends. It's at the very beginning, which is around data, and it's about how do you get AI to be used and adopted in the workflow on the other side. Now, specifically to your first part, yes, I think that's a big challenge for most organizations. They do not realize this, but 90% of the effort of putting in AI into the workflow lays in the data management part and getting that house in order. And again, uh, there is a fair amount of data that might be sitting in an organization that needs to be accessed. But there's a lot of data that is actually sitting not in systems, but is sitting in a SharePoint directory, or it might be something which is in a note or in a memo, or it might be in some email chain that came in. And the ability to kind of bring that together with some of the structured data sets that are there, that's key. So one of the things that we've done is we've got a very strong data ingestion engine. It's called extracto.ai. And what it's able to do is it's able to extract data from multiple systems. And therefore, it doesn't matter whether, some of this data is lying in different silos and on different systems. It can extract data from emails. It can extract data from images. And so it allows us to pull together data and then bring it together in a contextualized manner. As you know very well, each word is going to be important based on the context. And then we are able to build up a knowledge graph around this data set so that then it can be easily used, in terms of applying the AI and, pulling in some of this data from this data set. So that's how we would typically go about it. But you're right. I mean, 90% of the effort is just getting the data house in order.
You shouldn't have handed the microphone to me, because now I'm going to go with a flurry of questions and take us into some wild card places that I hope we're all ready for. It'll start with just your description, Rohit, of transitioning from being a BPO, a business process. You talk about business process outsourcing and the transition you're making to data analytics and digital solutions, and how you see that transition. I'd like to hear your expressions of that.
Sure, Tom. So we made multiple pivots. We started as an email processing company, went into BPO. We then went into BPO plus analytics. We then went into BPO analytics and digital. Then we said, no, this is all wrong. We want to be a data-led company. And all we want to do is to focus on data so that from the data, we can come to the insight. And from the insight, we can come to the outcome. And then we made one more pivot, which is we said, no, we just don't want to be a data-led company. We want to be a data and AI-led company. And that's what we are today, where we leverage data and AI in select industry domains and help our clients on that. So the pivot is actually a lot easier if you start to make investments a bit ahead of time. And I think we've been fortunate that we've made investments in terms of changing our business model a little bit before the market really shifted. So like I said, we started to invest in analytics in 2005 when data analytics wasn't very cool. We started to invest in data management about 7 or 8 years ago when it was important, but it was still not as important as what it is today. And then we acquired the AI expertise because when we were doing complex analytical models and we were building that, we were doing a lot of machine learning, we were doing a lot of advanced analytics. And as we were playing around with some of these techniques and these capabilities, our ability to really play around with AI became so much easier and better. And what we've done is we've put all of this together now, where we have a platform. We call it eaccelerate.ai. And eaccelerate.ai allows us to pick and choose the right model, access the right data sets, bring together some of the accelerators that we have in the company, and be able to create use case solutions very, very quickly, which are very, very effective. So that's something which is allowing us to kind of move on this journey rapidly. And we've got a number of our own proprietary fine-tuned large language models that we've got on insurance. We've got a number of agentic AI use cases. We've got 100+ accelerators that we've got. And so this is what we would call as a palette that we can take and really apply it to the canvas of creating AI into the workflow. And eaccelerate.ai allows us to do that in a rapid fashion.
Well, Rohit, I have a question for you regarding your partnerships with some key players like NVIDIA, Microsoft, and I'm wondering how do they help influence the tech that you adopt and
Sure, Nicole. So for us, there is so much of technological innovation that's happening all around us that it's very, very important for us to be able to forge strategic partnerships with some of these giant technology players. So we've consciously and deliberately built up really strategic relationships with Microsoft, with AWS, with Google, with NVIDIA, with Databricks, and we're trying to kind of build up on these. And the one thing which I would tell you is, in a couple of these cases, actually some of these large organizations reached out to us proactively, wanting to partner with us. And I think the reason they wanted to partner with us is because we are heavily embedded in the workflow with our clients. And the use of these technologies is only applicable if it's embedded into the workflow. So they actually see us as a channel for implementation and a channel for being able to deploy this across our customer base. So it's a very symbiotic kind of a partnership and a relationship that we've built up. And there's a lot of, mutual benefit that we are able to derive by partnering with these organizations, helping them think through some of the technological evolutions that they need to make as they think about broadening out their technological capabilities and how that might be applicable to our customer base.
Well, I'm going to break the rule that I said of one final question, and I'm going to try and squeeze in a few quick ones right here. And two of them are uncomfortable questions, if that's okay to end, and then we'll see where we take them. The first is the adoption of AI. For example, at the Motley Fool now we're experimenting with the use of audio. Where traditionally you would have, let's say, 2 or 3 human beings discussing on a podcast a particular company, but now using the AI tooling, we're able to create conversations based on access to massive amounts of financial filings and all other information that feeds the Moneyball database. And what we're finding in the reviews that we're getting from users is they're actually delighted by the breadth of the coverage. And also, it turns out that AI speaks more efficiently than I do. You would almost have to ask it to drop in some ums and some ahs to try and make it sound natural, because it's so effective and efficient and economical with its use. So the uncomfortable question is, what is the implication for employment? You mentioned having, around 60,000 employees at EXL. What do you see rippling across society, at your company, among your clients? These are tools that are rendering as magic as they're released. And what will happen? You can answer it for your company or for the companies you're working with, or just your broad view of the world and what is going to happen with employment.
Sure. So this is, a question that my board asks me often, right? If there's going to be so much of productivity benefit, what will happen to our talent base? And, would we really need so many people? And how does that kind of, really pan out? And my answer to that is quite simple, which is, you can look at it at the micro level, which is you can look at it at EXL and see what's going to happen to EXL. Or you could take a look at it at the macro level and see what's going to happen with the economy and with the US or with the world and in terms of employment and in terms of the types of jobs that people might have. At the micro level for EXL, this is a huge tailwind. And here's the reason why it's a huge tailwind. Every time we implement AI and we eliminate, let's say, half the people that were working on that particular process, our clients give us more and more work to do and implement AI on that. And today, our penetration rate with our most mature and most penetrated clients is less than 15%. So, what that means is 85% of the work is still not given to us. And so they feel very confident in terms of giving us more work. The same thing happens with competitors of theirs and others in the industry, because the minute they learn about our ability to apply AI in a successful way, they are giving us more and more business. And that's why I think our growth rate is accelerating at this point of time. So that's, with EXL. But when you take a look at it at the macro level, I think what's going to happen is the role and the type of jobs are going to change. And certainly some of the repetitive tasks and some of the lower end work is all going to get automated and all going to be done, by AI and by autonomous and by technological innovations. But you're going to have newer jobs created, which are going to be actually hungry for talent. And you're going to have people who can help build prompt engineering libraries, who are going to be able to do fine tuning of the models, who are going to be able to provide greater amount of insights. There are going to be new types of services, new types of products, new types of capabilities. All of that is going to require a lot of human effort. And I think in aggregate, anytime there's this kind of technological disruption that kind of comes in, it requires a huge amount of change in terms of retraining, upskilling, and learning, but it'll allow us to do more fulfilling work and actually make our lives a lot better.
There has been controversy, of course, with United Healthcare and claims denials and use of AI in claims denials. And the question, another sort of societal question, is AI going to be used for, fairness, or is it going to be used in aggressive ways that will be disadvantageous to, the lone individual out there that is finding their data being maneuvered in certain ways and responses that are almost like their own behavioral experiment out there in life as they move around and see how data is being used. So I'm just curious what you make of that. Obviously, you all work in insurance. I guess I would say the productive, enlightened, fair use of AI and data analytics versus areas where there could be concerns. And there are.
Yeah, I think, Tom, that's a very serious and an important question, and I think it has it has some very significant implications. It is true that with the use of AI and with the use of technology, uh, the more sophisticated the user, the better is the advantage in terms of just negotiating leverage between an individual who's not so versatile with AI. And then a large organization which has tremendous resources to invest in AI will also have a greater amount of power associated with how that AI is used as compared to an individual who may not be as sophisticated, does not have access to that same level of resources. I do think it's a little bit of a philosophical question, but it might result in large organizations having the need to be responsible corporate citizens as well, not just maximize profit, but rather look at it from a fairness lens, just like you alluded to, and be able to treat everybody with the same kind of lens, with the same kind of an experience, and not take undue advantage of the AI or the intelligence or the ability to use technology and data that they might have access to just by virtue of being a larger and a much more resourceful organization.
Thank you very much for that. My final question is just about your personal journey. 1999, it all started, the multiple pivots that you've made, the amazing success of your business, and from our standpoint, both the regret that I have for not having found your company earlier, which I only found through our Moneyball AI-powered database. That is how I began learning about your business, which is, again, one of the beauties of all of these new technologies, creating new solutions, things that we never thought before possible, and creating more work for us, not less work, and more opportunity, more companies to read about, more things to learn about in the world. I invest in large part because I love to learn about the world. So I don't want to run a 7-stock portfolio. I want to keep learning about more and more businesses. I'm curious about your journey at this stage now. 25 plus years in, you have a nice ownership stake in the business, and we love to invest and in leaders as well as great products, great financials, great technologies, great growth opportunities. So where are you in your leadership journey now, and how can you possibly sleep given all of the incredible innovation happening around us at this time? I'm curious what your worldview is now on your work.
Sure, Tom. So it's first of all, it's been a really fun ride for the last 26 years, but it's also been a very fulfilling ride because what we've been able to build and what we've been able to grow and the kind of market acceptance that we have, that's something which one feels really proud about. But the one thing which has happened is with AI coming in, this is such an interesting period of time where there's so much of change taking place. And we are at the center of that change taking place. We've got the right kind of a foundational capability. We've got great, talent within the company. We've got a great set of customers. So I'm excited about, continuing to drive the organization forward and continuing to kind of build this organization and go into new areas, which is very, very exciting. So it's not just the growth, but it's the type of work that we are going to be doing going forward. That's exciting, and that's really energizing.
For Carl and Nicole, I thank you, Rohit, for spending this hour with us and sharing your insights on EXL Service, ticker symbol EXLS, which has been such a wonderful stock, and we're so happy to be bringing it to our members and looking forward to some great experiences in terms of the profits that we might generate as shareholders and the opportunity to learn about you and your business in the world because of it. So Rohit Kapoor, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you the very best.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Nicole and Carl. Really appreciate it talking to you.